You're listening to the Slow Ride Podcast. Bikes, advice, and rumors straight from the source. TheSlowRidePodcast.com and on Twitter at TheSlowRidePod. Enjoy the ride.
Hello and welcome to the 258th episode of the Slow Ride Podcast. This is Tim in Orlando, Florida.
And this is Spencer in Boston, Massachusetts. Tim.
Yes.
Welcome back to the Slow Ride Podcast. You were on, last I heard, you were on the Slow Ride Podcast special episode.
Oh, it was good.
With the glorious return of the little guy, Matt Allen.
It was good to have the little guy there. It was fantastic. So much to discuss, and I'm sure he's amped to come back on. I'm going to try it. I'm going up to Minnesota next week, so
awesome.
Hoping to do another one with him, and then I think we're going to be able to pull him away for some time to do another episode of the three of us coming up during the tour. So
that'll be great. I'm hoping I can find time in my schedule. I've been all over the place.
Yeah.
We've had to move some stuff around, shuffle some things, and I don't even know what day it is anymore. Tim, do you know what day it is?
It's actually the Van Art Show day, where all the kick-ass 1970s art or vans with like the airbrushed art pieces, unicorns jumping over mountains.
Wow,
is in town. So yeah,
that sounds cool.
Show.
Wow,
indeed.
Hey, wow. That bit went okay.
It's okay.
I don't know if it hit.
Maybe we overthought it a little bit.
The Wout Van Art Show.
Yeah.
Anyway, today at the Tour de France, it was the Wout Van Art Show.
Oh,
Stage 10.
Spencer, today was a good day.
Did you now be honest? Now this is a safe space, Tim.
Yeah.
Before the tour started, did you actually think Wout could win a stage?
Yes, and I have proof because I put 25 points on roller derby on the Will Wout Van Art win a stage.
All right. Well, see, roller derby is already paying for itself then.
And roller derby already, like the odds for him to win, you could see how biased the roller derby playing public was because it was like 1-2 that he was going to win. So every 2 points you bet, you got one back. It was just assumed that Wout Van Art was going to win a stage on roller derby public. But Spencer, what a great run of tour stages, just Saturday, Sunday, Monday alone. So much to discuss. Obviously, the first week, you and I haven't even had a chance to touch base. I mean, I was able to get with little guy. Mm-hmm. But, today I feel like, we liked Wout before it was cool. Actually, I hated Wout before people knew who he was. And then I decided to like him because he was cool again. And then now I'm like, I liked him before he was cool. I actually disliked him before it was cool. You're
sort of jumping on the bandwagon that you weren't on, but you were definitely there for. Like you were avoiding the bandwagon before it was cool. I don't know how that all works out, but good job.
And so many of our friends on Twitter were hitting us up, just already creating like some memes. I saw some come through, like Ruby Roubaix talking about it, like 258.5 episodes now of Wout Van Art talk have happened, and he wins the stage. I don't know, Spencer, if you got a chance to watch the coverage live. I had a conference call for work, so I paused the last 15K and I was like live tweeting to little guy up until that point with the splits and how George Bennett missed out. Lando was off the back, and I was like, oh, okay. Little guy's at work. Whatever. I'm in a safe space. I'm on the conference call. I look down at my phone because I just get a text message from little guy, and it's like, wow, with like 8 exclamation points. And I'm on the call, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he spoiled it for me. So what did I do? I texted you and I said, wow, with 3 exclamation points. And then you texted back to say, I almost made it all the way through without any spoilers whatsoever. Thanks. What a good time.
Good job. We went full circle there. I'm going to have to spoil something for the little guy shortly to just close that loop up. But
it was
what a day. I saw flashes of greatness, obviously, in Wout, and I didn't think today's stage would be the type of stage
Well,
that he
not
would
even
like.
that,
I thought he might win out of a break, something like
Exactly.
that. I did not think he would come over
or
the
a little
top.
like pitch, like like a
Yeah.
little Valverde type win.
Exactly. I did not expect him coming over the top of Caleb Ewan, of
Michael Matthews,
of Michael
Peter
Matthews,
Sagan.
Viviani. Literally everybody except for his own team sprinter was there.
Did you see the photo that the tour has on their website of Wout Van Aert coming across the stage or coming across the line with his hands posted, and Viviani's face looking at him, like
He
the
is stunned.
disgust
Yeah.
that Viviani had for Wout Van Aert beating him on the bike throw. Like he knew it, and he's just like, "Oh, this is the guy I've heard about." So, question.
Yeah.
Peter Sagan clearly knows who Wout Van Aert is.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of knows who Matthew Van Der Poel is.
Yes.
Is this the end of which one, Wout Van Aert or Matthew Van Der Poel, is going to take away the green jersey reign of Peter Sagan? It's going to be one of them.
It might be Wout. Wout's got the advantage Wout has is that he's got another year to try and do it. I don't think he's going to do it this year. Is pretty foregone, but
2021, it's for sure Matthew Van Der Poel.
2021 post Olympics, which is MvdP's goal, he's going to come to the tour and he's probably going to win the yellow jersey and the green jersey, and he's probably too old for the white jersey, but he might just squeak in for that one too. And if he can, I don't see why he wouldn't go for the polka dots.
Yeah, it was awesome to see Wout win today. The stage was absolute chaos with the crosswinds. It was fun to watch. Nairo Quintana clearly is the team leader of Movistar.
Yeah.
Kreiswick is clearly the team leader of Yellow Lotto.
Yes.
And then you have,
and
G. Thomas is the guy. There's no question about it. He is looking good, and I just don't know how he's going to lose this tour.
The problem is that I have to walk back what I said on our last episode, 257, where I said I made the bold claim that FDJ came to race, that they came ready.
Oh my God!
To help Thibaut Pinot to his first Grand Tour victory, and
what a disaster!
He was going so well, and everything was breaking right for him until today, and they just got it all wrong, and they couldn't do the work needed to help him. It was just a up and down disaster for FDJ. Big losers on the day.
Yeah, and it was really sad because, Pinot was looking pretty good after he got 21 seconds yesterday, right? On the amazing Daryl Impey, 2 days before on the Thomas de Ghent stage win on Saturday, when him and Alaphilippe go off the front and had one hell of a race. So Pinot,
that's what I'm talking
for a while,
about.
We were all stoked.
So good. He's been making all the right moves. He's been doing everything that you want to see a French champion do. And but then, at the end of the day, he is a French champion on a French team, and they did what they do.
Yeah, but he's not the champion right now. That's Barguil, who's looking really good. Definitely a top 10, little guy thinks.
Definitely.
But Pinot, maybe he'll get it back in some of the descents. He's such a world-class descender. Maybe he will be able to get it all back. But Spencer, overall, in the Tour de France so far, are you pretty happy with I thought they did a pretty good job in the first week, right? Normally it's boring as ever.
Yeah.
This has been Michael Toonson winning a stage. It's not been the formulaic wins.
I've been really into the first week. I think you nailed it. They've done a great job with the courses. It's been hard enough, but not too hard, and they're mixing things up. The only misstep is a team time trial, and I guess you got to throw it in somewhere because it's a Tour de France.
Yeah, that it was a misstep because it was also on the Sunday. How are you feeling about these lotto kits? The yellow lotto kits. I'm still having some difficulty with them the more and more I see them totally posted up at the front.
Mm-hmm.
I guess is it because of the Celeste of the Bianchi bike? There's just something about the whole setup, Spencer, that I'm just like, I'm seeing a lot of it, and I think it could have been a lot better. Or I don't know, man.
Yeah. Well, our old school fans they're probably hearkening back to Pantani and his team and their Celeste and yellow Bianchi bikes. And why can't Bianchi bend the rules a little bit for team leader Wout van Aert's team in the Tour de France?
Like, we know that Celeste is Bianchi's color. Right? Mm-hmm. It's synonymous with Bianchi. Well done for Bianchi for doing that. But it's just, I mean, it's such a miserable color to ride when you have a yellow kit. Like,
it's pretty,
what of all the Bianchi teams, the only one that looked really, really good on the Bianchi bikes was the Ulrich one, right? With like the full Bianchi kit, because that was the only color. I mean, over the years, there's that Alessio wheel one. It was red with the Celeste. It just doesn't work. And I'm just.
Yeah. And so, I mean, the kits are okay. I don't hate them. I don't love them.
They're the Celeste bike. That must be.
Yeah. They're solidly middle of the pack kit, but the bike's probably a middle of the pack bike as far as look goes, but you put them both together against well put together teams and it just, it doesn't shine, but hey, they've won like 4 of 10 stages or something so far. So
good for them. They're clearly the best program that's out there, and they're fantastic. Good for them. So
yeah.
Overall, Spencer, I've been really stoked with the tour. One of the things I do want to get to is the Daryl Impey win on Sunday, and mostly because I don't know. I went back and pulled up Life in the Peloton, the Mitch Docker pod, sister show on the Wide Angle Podium network of ours. His interview, I re-listened to the Daryl Impey interview after the win, because I kind of listened to it on, a training ride before. So I wasn't like totally into it, and really able to focus, pay attention, thinking about someone winning a Tour de France stage. Oh my gosh. After re-listening to that, I hope everyone goes and listens to that on the Life in the Peloton to hear what he's gone through. He brings up again, going on, getting signed to Team Pegasus, and then just doing races in Australia as like a domestic, even though he's from South Africa. It was great. It was awesome to hear, someone that's been kicking around since 2008 when he started with Barlow World. And then he just went to Eureka Green Edge, but then to get that win, it was awesome to see. I was so stoked to know that he had won after listening to the podcast. But so there you go, Daryl Impey.
Well, yeah, it was a great stage. I'm sure little guy was jumping out of his chair if he was watching that one, because he's been a big Impey fan for a long time. But yeah, man, there's been, chalk that one up again in the number of stages in this first week that have been really exciting. And and
then what was T. Spanoot supposed to do, right? You kind of felt bad. We're huge fans of T. Spanoot on this pod. And then you're kind of there's no way he was going to beat him. And he knew it. He tried. But Impey was running him up to the and
barrier. He did everything he could have, right? T. Scott on, he got the prime spot from 1K out. He did not pull through anymore. He was riding the wheel. He got the jump. He did everything textbook that he could have done, and it was never going to be enough.
It's so good. So good to see. So awesome. And then obviously the other stage, Spencer, that sticks out like a sore thumb over the week. And that is Thomas de Gent's amazing victory on stage 8. That huge attack, never gave up. Thibaut Pinot and Alaphilippe almost catch him, just 6 seconds down. What a victory that one was. I had non-cycling friends, the non-diehard cycling friends, and I guess most of my friends that watch the tour are diehard. They know how to get Eurosport feed or whatever. But there was a lot. They were watching at the bar, just in passing friends that were did you watch the stage? That was awesome, because they were listening to the coverage. The amazing coverage coming from Chris Horner. It's just been out of this world. And they're all just, talking about, is he going to make it? And he does. It's been, it was so cool to see an attack like that finally work.
We got speaking of Chris Horner, we got a pretty great tweet today. I have not been watching his coverage.
Neither have I. But, I've watched 0 of it, and I feel so damn good about it.
We got a note across our Twitter feed that he's been referring to Wout van Aert as Walt van Aert.
Of course he has.
Which is very good.
Oh man. Yeah. Anyways, Thomas again taking the win. That was awesome. Anything else on tour talk that you've got that kind of top of mind before, there's another big race I do want to get to that was in the road world that we didn't get to talk too much about in the last week, and then also with little guys. So I want to make sure we cover a little bit of the.
I do have one kind of philosophical question, I guess, about the Tour de France, or related sort of to the Tour de France here. What do you think is a bigger accomplishment, Tim? Winning a stage in the Tour de France or winning Amstel Gold?
That's a very good point, and I know where that's coming. And I would also throw in, Spencer.
It is a loaded question.
I would also throw in winning the Cyclocross World Championships in there as well. It was a loaded question, and I was a little disappointed to hear this. I would think winning a stage is a pretty big accomplishment, but winning Amstel Gold in the way that he won Amstel Gold, I think, is better.
So you're a Mathieu van der Poel fan.
Yes.
Over a Wout van Aert Tour de France stage win.
Yes, and that not
now,
just...
is this because he came back from like 100 miles behind the peloton and caught up and passed everybody?
That's what I'm saying. It's like the way he won it is better.
Yeah. Okay.
But here's so we're talking about the post-race interview. Wout van Aert gets asked, he's exuberant. He won. He can't believe it. He gets asked, you just won a stage at the Tour de France. How do you feel? And he basically says, yeah, this is the biggest accomplishment of my life, right? Of my racing career.
Yep.
Like this is at the top step. This is above my Mount Rushmore of successes in my career. Ladies and gentlemen, Wout van Aert is never coming back to cyclocross ever again. He just claimed that this is the most important thing that's ever happened to him. He doesn't even care about cyclocross.
I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, he's been world champion a couple of times in cyclocross, right? And that's pretty good. You get to wear that rainbow stripy jumpsuit, but you don't get to wear it on the road. You don't get to wear it you need some accomplishments.
He won a pretty damn good stage today over the top sprinters, and that this is just his coming out party for the next year and a half before he returns to second place forever. But the way MvdP won Amstel Gold is next level.
Is legendary. Yeah.
But that being said, a lot of people found out who Wout van Aert was today, and I can only imagine the NBC sports coverage and Phil Liggett talking about cyclocross skills, and then when they're going to have Lance Armstrong chime in about and then he talks about his cyclocross skills because of the one time he had to go off road when Beloki crashed in front of him, and we've been hearing about that for 15 years. So, yeah, Spencer, I would take the Amstel Gold win for the way he had it. If Van der Poel would have just won that in a sprint, I'd say no, the stage win is more important. But man, that Amstel Gold win was amazing.
All right, I might see your point. So Wout is still second place.
Yeah.
So now I get what you're saying, but in my logic here that's going on in my head, I feel like Wout just laid down the trump card on Mathieu van der Poel and is like, what are you going to do now? What are you going to bring to the table? Like if Van der Poel...
He definitely went all in, right? Like today's victory was he put it all in, and he's like, do you see my bet? And Van der Poel's like, yeah, I will in a second.
He has to win worlds.
Well, he has to win the Olympic gold medal to make it all matter for what he is postponing his Tour de France career for, right?
Right.
Because look at what Van der Poel, and we'll get to this a little bit after the jump. But we're going to talk some UCI Mountain Bike World Cup this past weekend. Van der Poel put on a clinic in the short track, and then just got destroyed in the Olympic distance. And we're going to talk about that later. But I mean, Wout van Aert came out guns blazing, and I'm interested to see how Mathieu van der Poel is going to be able to respond, because the only way to top winning a stage at the Tour de France is to come from 100 miles down on your opponents at Amstel Gold, which he did, or winning the gold medal in the mountain bikes to justify this sojourn, this walkabout that he is doing away from the Tour de France. I mean,
all right. Well, I'm trying to position this as a Wout versus Van der Poel thing, which is kind of what everybody's been doing forever. But I've got kind of a galaxy brain theory going on here that maybe it's not Wout versus Van der Poel.
No, I'm with you on this. I saw this tweet. I'm 100% on this. I think we need to start doing that now.
This is a next generation. This is Wout and Van der Poel versus
everybody else, versus the world.
This versus the whole world, versus the UCI and the cycling infrastructure and everything that we've known to be true until now. They are tearing it down.
This is why we need more and more of these photos of them hanging out together, of them riding together like they are almost teammates, or even though they're national like rivals in cyclocross. It is those two versus the world. Absolutely. It is not Mathieu van der Poel versus Wout van Aert. It is those two combined versus everybody else. And I will tell you something. I will put unlimited points on roller derby on them nonstop to take over. I mean, what Wout did today, unheard of. Like, you know who's a little disappointed in Wout van Aert's job today of his sprint win? Dylan Groenewegen. Sorry, Dylan. Guess you're not needed anymore for a sprinter. We only have 8 people allowed on this team.
Yeah.
And we have a guy that did it all by himself. He surfed wheels like Robbie McEwen, and it was awesome. And I'm so happy.
It was very good. I was very impressed. I felt a little bad, but also very impressed about the Sunweb lead out train. It had 5 guys on the front for Michael Matthews, and he's never going to get a better shot. And man, he just got his doors blown off by a number of people, but
he got his doors blown
especially
off by
a guy
or by Wout van Aert. Like, how's he gonna? Oh man,
first time at the tour, not on the radar, not a sprinter. Oh, just brutal. Just kick him when he's down, Wout.
All right, Spencer, we alluded to it a little bit earlier, but it was also Giro de Rosa. Thanks to Trek for their continued, hour recaps along with Vox Women. Cycling.
They've been so good.
Annemiek van Vleuten takes the win in fairly dominating fashion. Not only winning the GC, but winning the KOM, or KOM, sorry. And then also taking the green jersey. Pretty impressive dominance from the Mitchelton Scott rider. I mean, seriously, it was out of this world.
I watched the first couple stages, and there was a lot going on. Voss was having some good rides, and she was kind of sitting back, and I was like, oh, maybe she doesn't have it this year, and then she turned the whole race upside down with just a stellar performance in the mountains and time trial, and just crushing some souls.
I mean, Voss did tear it up. Let's not get this off, like she had
Voss had some highlight reel wins.
Oh yeah, she won 3 stages. Sorry, stage 10, 2, and 3, and then she also had a 4th place. I mean, she was out of this. Actually, she won 4 stages. Sorry, 2, 3, 7, and 10, and she finished in 20th place. She won 4. Impressive. There was one attack that she put in that was just out of this world. Amazing attack. I was stoked because the Bigla team took a stage win, so that was pretty awesome. With Lizzie Banks taking I believe it was like
Queen stage. Yeah, Queen
stage.
Yeah, just a great stage.
That was awesome to see. That was a big win for them because they've only done a little bit. Cicely Ludwig has obviously been like the star of the post race interviews, but she only won 1 race on the year. So overall, Spencer, we didn't. I mean,
Tim.
Yeah, go ahead.
We can't move away from the Giro Rosa without talking about the double Zoppel that happened during this race. 2 times, 2 stages in a row, winners with their arms up,
the double Zoppel
at the lines.
Spencer, this was amazing. 2 stages in a row. So just for those that weren't watching or don't know, 2 times in a row, a woman leader, a presumed winner, was coming across the finish line first, posted up only to get bike throwed at the line victory, just like Zabel, aka against the cricket Oscar Freire. Actually, that's Bettini, but anyways, Oscar Freire, got Zabel once or maybe twice.
Zabel got Zabeled a couple of times.
But Spencer, amazing. 2 days in a row.
2 days in a row we were treated to this. I prefer the first of the 2 with the hill top finish. Mitchelton Scott rider just pumps the fist about, I don't know, 3 feet before
Yeah.
the line,
Yeah.
and Voss just comes by like a freight train.
It was like a bat out of hell when Voss came by and beat her. I mean,
Oh.
that was good.
It was
that was
unreal.
Lucy Kennedy, I believe, of Mitchelton Scott. That was in stage 3.
Okay. Yeah. And then stage 4 was a breakaway. Riders all going for the line. Somebody thought they had it. Beat by bike throw. Just by a quarter of a tire width, and did it again. We got treated twice.
So
I love this stuff.
Oh, this is so good. This may become a roller derby prize. Like, will anybody?
Will somebody
be
get zobbled?
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
we'll need to call. Get Luke on the horn. Get Luke on the horn.
Yeah.
Right now. It's something important.
Yeah, this is good. So, anyway,
I'm
Spencer,
gonna have Mark, our intern, get Luke on the horn.
got a couple of cool things coming up in the preem lap, including the announcement of the upcoming 16th place contest from the Alma GP. But let's get into the preem lap.
My name is Matthew Vanderpool, and I don't listen to the Slow Ride podcast.
All right, Spencer, what do we got for the preem lap?
All right, Tim. This week, as always, you know them, you love them. We're starting off with Whoop. Whoop.com. That is a website you can go to, and what you're going to get there is a performance tool that is changing the way people track their fitness and optimize their training. In a nutshell, Whoop is a wrist-worn heart rate monitor that pairs to an app that's going to provide you analytics about your recovery and how well you're sleeping and what sort of strain you're putting on your body, and just really focuses on the recovery side of training, which if you're riding a lot, if you're putting in the miles, if you're doing the work, even if you're not doing that much work, you'd probably be surprised how much you can benefit by proper recovery. And Whoop lets you do that.
I've been impressed by the amount of friends of the pod that have hit us up to let us know that they joined Whoop. They went over to whoop.com.
Yeah.
They used the code SlowRide at checkout. Bill Schleichen was showing off his the other day when we were doing another podcast on the network for sports ballers over in the Parts Bin feed. And his Whoop device is looking fantastic. He was telling me so much about how easy it is to use. That's why I'm getting one, because I'm not an analytics person, but if I ever was to become one, they have all that data in there as well. So like I can look at just the colors of green, yellow, red, just like a stoplight. I know if I'm being overtrained, and I can tell you right now, I am not being overtrained in anything I do except on Monday and Tuesday nights for hockey.
And that's part of the great thing with it is that you can kind of, depending on how analytical you want to be, you can dial it in.
Yeah.
Like you can really get in there and get into some data if you want, or you can just kind of let it give you a very general, like, oh, you're doing good, you're doing okay, you're not doing good. So you can kind of set that to the level that you're comfortable with. And to do that, head over to whoop.com, pick out the strap that you like. It's free. And then you sign up for the service. And use the code SlowRide when you're checking out. You're going to save 15%.
This podcast is also supported by Health IQ, a life insurance company that celebrates the health conscious, including cyclists. Visit healthiq.com/WAP to learn more and get a free quote, or check out their life insurance FAQ page to get your questions answered. Spencer, they have been with us for a long time. We are absolutely honored to have Health IQ for their continued support. We have many friends of the pod that have also gone through and gotten some life insurance because they have decided it was the right decision to be made. And some of the things that they do take into account is that as you're a healthy individual, because you're living a health conscious lifestyle, mostly by listening to this podcast, you're at a much lower risk of heart disease, of a lower risk of early death. So you actually become a much better candidate for life insurance, and you shouldn't be paying the higher premium than others. So this is what it's there for. They don't take into account one incident of family history if you're otherwise healthy. There's lots of good news here. So head on over to healthiq.com/WAP to learn more and to get your free quote, and check out their life insurance FAQ page.
Awesome. And the last thing I need to talk about here in the Preem Lap is Shred Science Nutrition. This is a favorite of mine because I have used the Shred Science Nutrition program I signed up for a package, and it really, really was a life-changing experience for me. They gave me a custom meal plan based on my particular set of like what I like to eat and what I don't like to eat, and what sort of riding I was doing and what sort of goals I had. They custom made this for me and set up the macros that I needed to be meeting. And now is the perfect time of year with cross coming. Wout van Aert, Mathieu van der Poel, they're all telling you cross is the way to, I don't know, it's the promised land, right? You want to get there, whether you're racing road, mountain, cross, doesn't matter. Now is the time to get shredded for cross season. You're going to dial in your fitness and be ready to go so that you can get that world tour ride or whatever. And the way you do it, head to shredsciencenutrition.com, sign up for a package. It's awesome. I cannot recommend this enough. Please go check it out and tell them I sent you.
Awesome. And we'd also have the returning 16th stage, 16th place contest submitted by the Alma GP and their amazing promoter, Brian Hancock. And remember, this is the Avalon Pontoons Alma GP and Cyclocross 5K trail run. It's Saturday, September 7th. Here's what you do.
Where is it?
It is in Alma, Michigan, which I hear is smack in the middle of the mitten. Now,
okay.
So here's what you do. Who's going to win 16th place? Hashtag it on the Twitter. Just put.
This is my favorite contest / giveaway ever.
It auto-populates the spreadsheet. Just use that hashtag 16th place. Let us know who's going to get 16th place in stage 16. We'll do a couple more tweets on this. Here's the deal. This is what's amazing. And we had someone take advantage of this last year that won.
Yeah.
You get free entry into the Alma GP, right? So you have to get there, but you get a free bike race. But you also get a hotel
which is like
for a free
$50 these days.
Free, and this isn't, it's not Motel 6. It's not the Four Seasons, but it's like a Hampton Inn. Not too bad. Here's the best part.
Right.
You also get a gift certificate to the Alma Brewing Company. So you're going to have to find some food, but you get a free bike race, a free hotel, you get free beer, and then you have the opportunity to be interviewed mid-race by Mr. David Palin or
Amazing.
Scott Diedenbach, who are announcing from the top of the pontoon in the middle of the cyclocross race there at the Alma GP. I think that this is a no-brainer. So what are you doing on September 7th? If you're looking for something to do on Saturday, September 7th, head to the middle of the mitten in Michigan for the Alma GP. Stand on the podium of the pontoon boat, and you can talk about your prognostication skills for who got 16th place in the 16th stage of the Tour de France.
Amazing. We're also, of course, on the Wide Angle Podium Network. A lot of great shows out there. Life in the Peloton featuring Mitch Docker, bringing you the news from the Peloton, like that Daryl Impey interview you were talking about earlier, but also Bike Shop CX by the aforementioned Scott Diedenbach and Mr. David Palin. They recently had an episode out that I think everybody should go check out if you're interested in bike racing history at all. He did a special 4th of July episode on Jonathan Page's victory, or, well, let's call it a victory, for America. It was second place, but it was a very, 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 very good, really different episode for them, and it was super good. Really enjoyed it. If you check out anything, go check that one out.
Thank you so much for that shout out. So good. But Spencer, let's get back to the show. We got a review and we got some great emails from our listeners.
Hi, I'm Hugh Carthy from Education First Pro Cycling, and I don't listen to the Slow Ride podcast.
Got an email from Derek Gross. As a wide angle sponsor and someone who's been waiting years for a Gorgeous George interview, I think I may have found an inroad, or a preem, if you will, for getting Hincapie on the show. Take a look at this beautiful piece of American cycling history. And of course, you click on the eBay link that is provided, and it is a Merlin Titanium 1998 vintage 56 centimeter road bike. Here's the key. You start zooming in and you see some of the stickers that are still on this bike. This is
Okay.
one George Hincapie's team bike.
Ah,
So it is a Hincapie issued bike. It is ready for purchase. And Derek
just my size.
continues on with, of course, that's right. Someone is selling George Hincapie's GT Edge. Please use all of the wide angle podium funds to purchase this bike. Then, after the bike has been delivered to Orlando, Florida, take pictures to give to Abby to show George on the next group ride as an incentive for him to come on the pod. Perhaps even convince Mitch to show the photos to the #1 Super Domestique of the early 2000s the next time George is seen skulking around the EF team bus. This has to happen, and here's why. After Hincapie is convinced to come on the show due to the nostalgia this bike brings to his super strong cyclist heart, you get him to sign the top tube. After the top tube is signed and you have photographic proof you are standing next to Big George and he's signing your bike, you offer this photo in a glossy 8x10 to anyone willing to become a regular supporter of the network. The money would roll in and you'd have a piece of Americana that you could never be duplicated. This is an all-around win and a surefire way to get the interview of the century. Just an idea. So on first step, I like this idea.
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
But we've reached out several times to George, and we've just kind of missed connections, ships passing in the night. I'm kind of waiting for George to contact us to come on the podcast.
Yeah, at this point, I kind of feel like the ball might be in his court.
Like, I think at the minimum, what our listeners should be doing is they should be tweeting George, they should be emailing him, they should be calling him, they should be on the group rides with him, and they should just say, hey, George, when are you going to put the boys up at Hotel Domestique? And then he's going to say, who are the boys? He knows who the boys are. Just say, when are you going to put the boys up at Hotel Domestique? They'll do a review of the restaurant. They'll hang out. They'll do a live show for you and the family. You know, just you guys, just a real private endeavor. I mean, just ask George when he's going to host the Slow Ride podcast at the hotel.
Love it. I love it. Let's get that campaign going.
Got a nice email from Jason Nix, a friend of the pod in Pensacola, who dodged a major hurricane this weekend. Jason was sharing the famous cyclism Chris Horner cyclocross skills video parody, so definitely worth the YouTube look. So go find Cosmos' YouTube channel to see the old Chris Horner setup. Joe Fabris also hit us up. Hey guys, I love it when you bring some love to gravity and downhill. And this week you talked about the sleeve. Even an old 60-plus age grouper like me craves the sleeve. And last year at West Virginia Nats, I got my sleeve from Enduro. I was second in downhill, but I know Bobby, the winner of downhill, and he has his sleeve too. I get to wear mine for 2 more weeks. If all goes well at Colorado Nats, I may get to wear it next year. And you bet I'm putting the stars and stripes on my cuffs when this is all over. Still trying to track the top 10 at Cross Nats. Love the show. Making it count. Joe, thank you so much. This picture, Spencer, I am all about the sleeve. I kind of want to have just a long sleeve t-shirt that has the sleeve. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just walk around. Like, who would? Oh, this is so good.
Okay, so the cuff is great. I love that he's taking the cuff, to the next step. Well, if you win a sleeve, how far do you take that? You know how the world championship guys, they've got their socks done, they've got shoes, helmet, glasses, like whatever. If you got the sleeve, when you, like you just said, like when you're wearing a casual t-shirt, are you?
I'm putting the cuffs on everything.
Yeah, you're gonna have stars and stripes on one of the arms, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like when you go to work in your khaki pants and your blue button up, kind of average work shirt.
These shirts are already made, right? Like they already have like you see rodeo guys always wearing like the stars and stripes shirt with their cowboy hats when they're going to the show.
Yeah.
Just cut off the right sleeve and sew it onto your regular dress shirt. Go into work. People might look at you a little bit weird, but remember, you're the national champion. They're not.
Yeah. I mean, when they ask, they get to hear the story and you get to tell it again.
I had no clue about this sleeve. Bill brought it to my attention last week on the pod. I am so smitten for this sleeve thing. Like it is such a downhill move. Like as I learn more and more about downhilling and like the weird like culture that exists there, I'm loving it. Like this is so great. How is downhill not an Olympic sport, by the way? But I digress. Hey, Slow Ride Pod. This email is from Chris Bertia. Today was about my 4th day in a row. I didn't even bother to use a zipper on my jersey, also known as the full Schleck, but I wear the base layer because there's children out there. While enjoying the gentle flap and thinking about how cool I must have looked to every cyclist who passed me, I thought this must be a new product just waiting to be made, a zipperless jersey. Now, no, not the weird teeth shirt thing Champion System tried. My teammate has it. Looks like something you'd wear at a club back in the 90s. Also sized down, way down. But a normal jersey, sans zipper. I think I'm really onto something here. As this look is popular amongst the toll hook sized climber types, we know that weight is greater than aero. The most important thing after a concept is the name. And here's where I need your help and the help of the listeners. The obvious name is the full Schleck, but I fear that some guy in Luxembourg may have just enough funds for one good legal battle. My current working title is the Tainted Steak. I welcome all feedback as long as it comes with a serious injection of startup funds. Sincerely, Chris.
Yeah.
Spencer.
So we need an A+ name here, and then we need a Series A round of funding.
Yes.
Really get that venture capital going for this because this has legs.
This has a lot.
Doesn't have
a
zipper, but it's got legs.
The weight savings here, I think, cannot be underestimated. I mean, you're going to get a jersey up below like the current. I think right now, was it? I know Endura has like a 60-gram one, and I think Assos has like a 60-gram jersey. So like,
okay,
take out the zipper. That's how you're going to get there.
What do you figure? 20 grams of that is zipper?
Absolutely. Like the zipper is what's setting these jerseys apart. Now, this is why Champ Sys claims that they did their zipperless jersey too, right? Like to save the weight.
Right.
They went about it all wrong. I am 100%. I think this is actually a dynamite idea that what we need to find is a jersey manufacturer that just has bad zippers. And then you just cut them off, maybe? I don't know. Like, this is good.
It's very good. We are going to need a slam dunk name, or otherwise our Kickstarter is never going to get off the ground. Have you got anything jumping to the forefront of your brain?
I don't like Tainted Steak. That's just a little bit too nasty. I still think the full Schleck could actually be pretty good. I think
we're going to have to get our legal team on this, but if you call it the full Schleck and full Schleck is all one word, like it's not separated out, you can avoid kind of the trademark infringements on Andrew or Franklin Schleck.
I mean, you could call it like the Schlack or something, right? Like, and then,
I'm not doing that.
Listen, hear me out. It's like you have the Schlack and it's across the chest, but since the zipper is not, it's flapping in the wind, it actually looks like it says Schleck.
No.
On the jersey.
No.
No?
I'm not doing the knockoff QVC brand version of this jersey. We're going all in. But something, I mean, we got to hit all the keywords, right? Aero.
Yeah, it definitely Aero
needs to be in there.
We're going to have some crazy SEO optimization on this, but Spencer, here's the other thing though, is that we may want to call it the full Schleck because the way we're going to get real publicity here is getting sued. Right?
That's
that's the oldest trick in the book is that you create something, you come up with a complete ripoff of a name, you get sued, and then you're like, I guess I'll change the name now. but you already have people hooked on the idea. Yeah.
No, that's a good point. That's a good strategy. We might have to this might all depend on who we get in our first round of funding. How willing to go hard in the paint they are. So
I was a bit surprised and very disappointed that NBC is helping rehabilitate Lance. How does he feel about Chris Horner being the only U.S. rider to win a Grand Tour in the last 29 years? There are a lot of thoughts swirling around my head. Can't NBC find anyone with cycling knowledge, or is it just a U.S. Postal Alumni Club that can comment on the event? Isn't NBC breaking the spirit of the lifetime ban by interviewing and promoting his podcast? Kevin Dolan? Kevin, it's kind of like it's just sad. I don't know what else to say. Like, we can beat this to death. Good thing little guy isn't on the pod because he would be punching out his computer in anger about the rehabilitation of Lance. There's nothing we can do other than listen to the commercial free broadcast. And when that goes away, we listen to Eurosport. I don't know what it is. Like he was always going to win. He always came out ahead. And I just feel for all the clean athletes and riders that he's ruined. And
continues to.
Yeah.
Like what? Like that's like we have riders that could be commentating on this race or giving insight in this race that aren't Lance.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just think about like Frankie Andreu, right? Like talk about his career arc on NBC Sports, and then totally now it's Lance on. I mean, it's amazing what I think my biggest problem has always been with Lance is that what he did to keep the secret, right? In his tactics. It sucks for the sporting aspect, sure, but I mean, look at how we celebrate other known dopers for what they have done. I am a fanboy of Ricardo Rico because it was so ridiculously awesome what he was doing, but that guy was doped to the gills.
Yeah, pretty much every time we tweet about Valverde, somebody replies doper.
Yeah,
and I'm like, okay,
and I'm a fan of Valverde, and I know I'm maybe reinforcing things, but you know what? He served his ban and he did his time, and now he's back. And Lance has not done his ban. He has a lifetime ban.
He didn't ruin anybody's life.
He didn't play ball when they came and they needed him to speak, and he took the lifetime ban. That's end of story. Yep. He shouldn't be there, and NBC should be ashamed of what they're doing.
They should be, and I do think to the email's point is that they are breaking the spirit of the ban. You know, they should follow that. You know, like he technically should have no involvement in the sport at all.
Well, let's get to something more exciting. Just convinced my wife to fly the whole family up from Tampa to watch the Trek Cross Cup race in September on her birthday.
Double yeah.
All thanks to the pod. I sold her on the secret bar in the woods and a potential phone party. Thanks for the help, Matt from Tampa. Matt, this is absolutely stoked. We're going to have a Slow Ride Podcast compound, as you know, because we're basically the official podcast network of a UCI Cyclocross World Cup. This is the best Cyclocross World Cup in the world for the simple reason that it is equal pay for men and women. It is a great party. We're stoked to come out to Madison. And Matt, if you have never been to Madison, I hope you are ready to hang out, drink a lot of beer, and eat some sausages. Because here's the other thing.
God.
Michigan football is in town that same weekend as the Trek World Cup. So get your hotel room early. And get ready for one heck of a time, and we can't wait to see you out at the racetrack at Trek headquarters.
Yeah.
Now, I have never been to the World Cup. Spencer, did you go to the World Cup last year?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Do they have any type of tours or anything of the facility going on?
There definitely were some. I don't know if they're like official or if there was just like nice employees like showing people around.
I'm just thinking that if someone's flying up from Tampa for this race, maybe.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they know me. I walk around the Trek facility all the time. They actually get mistaken for Jens Voigt a lot. But Matt, we got to find a way to get your family to see the setup there, because what Trek's got there and what they're hosting us for the Trek World Cup is pretty amazing.
If they're not offering tours, Matt, give us a call. Let us know. We will pull some strings for you.
So,
we're pretty big shot sponsors of the race, so they kind of have to do what we say.
Yeah, sure. So anyway, Spencer, another great run of listener emails. Let's get to the other thing I did want to talk about, and that was shot across the bow that happened to news break. 2 amateur cyclists in Italy get narked out for having motors on their bikes at a criterium. Now, as you would expect, they are crit riders. And when the officials went to take their bikes for a motor check, these smart individuals hightailed it the heck out of there into a waiting van and drove away.
This is amazing.
2 things here. One guy was a mid-pack finisher, didn't even know the results. The other one only finished in 8th place, and he got narked out for having a motor. What are you thinking here?
Oh, man. I don't know.
They have to know who these people are by name. Like, it's not like they're going to not find these guys.
Right. You're on the start list. You signed a waiver. Like, everybody there knows who you are. Obviously, they know you're breaking some rules with your motorized bicycles. And man, like, is there any semblance of innocence at all? Like, if they weren't actually having motors in their bike, is there any reason to refuse that test and then run away?
Oh,
No.
no, it's
No.
it is so good.
There's not.
The fact that they ran away is my favorite part, right? Like you're not
You're
not gonna catch
so what happened?
me. And then-
Yeah. Was the battery not fully charged up? Is that why he only finished eighth?
That's what I want to know. Like, or I am
Or just like just can't hang in the bunch anymore.
was it Femke's brother? Was it, like I want to know so
Right.
much. Like who is in charge of Spencer, is it?
Like everybody knows this guy is like 50 years old and shouldn't be in the Cat 2 race anymore, but he's still hanging somehow, like even if he's just finishing the pack,
I want to know why the narcs knew that he had a motor. Like, did they, right? Like,
So
was he on a
the-
serious e-bike that just it had that giant Bosch bottom bracket thing, and you're just like, wait a second, that's not a light
I don't
speed.
think so. The reports that I saw, and details are sketchy at this time anywhere that we've been able to find any info, but allegedly people could see the button on the handlebars that would activate the motor, which, I don't know, ETAP and Durace, they have those kind of climber buttons or sprinter buttons or whatever that you can put wherever you want. So who's to say what this actually looked like? But it does not bode well that they made a quick getaway. Probably going to find that van ditched along the side of the highway somewhere.
How would you like to be the responding officer that gets the phone call of something about like a motor in the bike, right? Like, what are you going to do? You're going to be like, so it's a bike race. No one cares.
Yeah, they'd be like, cool, motorbike race?
Yeah. Like, oh man, I thought I was getting my $100 an hour to hang out at this corner. Motorcycles are way cooler.
I imagine that's probably why they had time to get away, is they spent 25 minutes on the phone with the police trying to convince them that this was a real thing that they had to take seriously.
Oh, anyway. All right, Spencer, I do want to give some shouts. We had a big weekend in downhill and cross-country mountain biking. We talked about it a little bit earlier. We mentioned the sleeve earlier. The big news in the downhill community is Rachel Atherton basically ruptured her Achilles tendon, out for the rest of the year. We know Tawny Seagraves is pretty much out for the rest of the year. So now it is Tracy Hanna's World Cup to lose and arguably World Championship to lose. Really, her only competition now is going to be coming from Marianne Caribou of the Scott Factory team. Now, Tracy Hanna did win by over a half a second. I know it's slim pickings, but Tracy Hanna has won another round of the World Cup so far this year, so she's comfortably in the lead. I don't know if you had a chance to watch any of it, but I watched the Cathro Vision track walk, and it is a fun course up there with some road gaps that I would definitely crash on.
I would 100% crash on. Maybe we'll have to get roller derby going on some mountain bike propositions, because this one is heating up. People would have lost a lot of points on Rachel Atherton had we opened this up earlier.
Yes,
but,
and then especially if it was a season long one, and then on the men's side, Amaury Perron ran away with it, almost a 2.5 second win over Louis Bruni. Both the French riders on the day before Bastille Day. So it was a big weekend, and that's on the downhill side. Now, what I like about this race, it's kind of like this series, it's kind of like the Mount St. Anne, is that they have 3 solid days of racing, right? You have the Friday short track, Saturday downhill, Sunday cross country at the ski slope at the ski park. On the men's short track on Friday, it was great to see Matthew van der Poel. And there was a moment on the last lap, I don't know if you watched it, Spencer, but he was there and sitting fifth wheel, and he reaches down and he turns the BOA dials on his shoes. And I just knew at that moment that when Matthew van der Poel tightens his shoes, there is no chance he is going to lose that race. And he accidentally dominated Avancini in the finishing sprint of it was like a 5-up finishing sprint over also Victor Koretsky takes third. So you would think Matthew van der Poel would be looking good going into the cross country, the Olympic distance race, and he gets absolutely shelled by Nino Schurter, who wins in kind of dominating fashion. He was out the front with Gerard Kirschenbaumer, who, by the way, Italian with the German name. But yeah, Nino Schurter looking pretty good. It was like a bad weekend for Matthew Van Der Poel, right?
Yeah,
so you got Wout Van Aert,
up and down.
and then you got Nino.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's true. It kept getting worse for him. Like starts on a high point, then he gets beat, and then Wout turns into the performance of a century.
Of a career,
so,
yeah.
yeah.
And then on the women's side, we'll just do a quick little roundup there. Kate Courtney goes for the double over the weekend, winning both the short track and the cross country. Wins about 30 seconds over Yolanda Neff in the cross country distance, and she won by 7 seconds over PFP. Kind of it'd always be great to see a Frenchman or French woman win on Bastille Day, but PFP was not able to finish to pull that off on the women's side of things with a solid 5th place finish. So anyways, Kate Courtney, amazing, doing well. It's amazing how good the World Championship stripes look when you're off the front.
Yeah, that was an awesome race to watch. A lot going on there. Kate off the front, more or less wire to wire, but Yolanda was back in like almost 30th place at one point, and she came tearing back through the field, which was awesome. PFP flatting on the last lap, losing some spots, and breaking the hearts of all the French there on Bastille Day. Great watching. Go find it on Red Bull if you want to catch up.
Yeah, for sure. And the Mountain Bike World Cup continues on, but we are, through Les Gets. The next racing that you have is going to be in Trentino for some racing, and then you've got Snowshoe and Mount St. Anne coming up, and also a stop in Switzerland. So only 4 rounds left across the board. Good stuff. Snowshoe, I think, is going to be pretty awesome. I wish I could make it up there in West Virginia to see some downhill and some cross country.
Yeah, you should try.
So Spencer, I think this has been a pretty awesome episode of the Slow Ride Podcast. I would like to thank all of our listeners and supporters, and also thank everyone for emailing us at theslowridepodcast@gmail.com and for tweeting and following us on Instagram at the Slow Ride Pod. Also rate and review us wherever you listen to your podcast. It's always a good way to let people know that this show exists in the cycling space. We'd also like to thank Shred Science Nutrition for their continued support. So head on over to shredsciencenutrition.com to find out more on how to dial in your new nutrition and your diet. Also like to thank Health IQ for their continued support. Head over to healthiq.com/WAP to find out how to save money on your life insurance. And finally, once again, we'd like to thank Whoop.com for their continued support and to monitor your exercise and your overall heart health. Head on over to Whoop.com and use the promo code SLOWRIDE to save 15% off on your membership and your analytics abilities. So with that, this is Tim in Orlando.
And this is Spencer in Boston, reminding you to always wave at all your fellow cyclists that you see out on the road.
The Slow Ride Podcast. Bikes, advice, and rumors straight from the source. TheSlowRidePodcast.com and on Twitter at The Slow Ride Pod.